Welcome everybody, I'm Dr. Edward Group, and welcome to the Trinity Health Freedom Expo. I am feeling very privileged to be here today to share my knowledge with you, and today I'm going to be presenting on how healing actually works. So just to give everybody a little bit of a background, I've been studying alternative oncology, the root cause of disease, and solutions to eliminating all degenerative diseases, as well as microbial infestation, etc. Using natural methods, but not only using natural methods, using detoxification, cleansing, fasting, and many other things. Over 20 years ago, I had the privilege of being on a research team that got to travel around and meet with doctors all over the world and compile data on what they were using to teach people how to reactivate the body's self-healing mechanism. And I say teach people because the true definition of a doctor in my mind is somebody who teaches the individual patients why they have the conditions they're suffering from and how to get rid of the conditions they're suffering from. So I also had the privilege of being on the first Royal Raymond Rife research team, as well as working with some of Nikola Tesla's understudies when it comes to energy and frequency. And that's kind of what I'm going to be going over today. Even the naturopathic schools, a lot of the chiropractic colleges are amazing and teach people amazing things. One of the things that I've found when you ask some individuals is how the healing process actually takes place. We know that there are so many different modalities for healing: massage, acupuncture, detoxification, cleansing, supplementation, change in diet, sleep, dealing with emotions. There's so many different methods out there, and that's why so many natural practitioners, nobody really uses a lot of the same programs, yet they still get very, very good results. But on a cellular level, on a tissue level, on an organ level, on an emotional level, on a spiritual level, how does the healing process actually work? So if you give somebody acupuncture, if you give somebody a program with good herbs and supplements, what is actually taking place in the system? Like, what is that mechanism? So one of the enlightening things that we found doing all of our research on the root cause of disease is that once the body's able to kick in and the self-healing mechanism is able to kick in, then the individual starts the healing process, and as well as their mind, because the mind is also very important. So a couple of the things that I'm going to be talking about today is how easy steps on how you can change your life forever, starting today. A good explanation of why people actually have disease in the first place, or any type of symptoms. I mean, it could be anything from athlete's foot to migraines to psoriasis to anything that's negatively affecting the body. And I'm going to be talking about how the healing process actually works. But before I start, I'd like to talk about something that has been very challenging for me over the years. When I was a kid, I was the type of kid that was always in trouble. I felt like I just was living like half in the spiritual plane and half in the physical plane. Like the adults didn't understand me. My dad was a workaholic. My mom was an alcoholic. God bless her soul. Both of my parents actually died of cancer when I was at a fairly early age, which is another reason I'm so passionate about doing what I'm doing today, because it's all about, I feel like it's all about helping people. There's no greater gift than to help change people and create positive change in people's lives. So it was very difficult to understand, and my parents didn't know how to really talk to us. I mean, anybody who has kids knows that it's difficult. I mean, all kids are different. Everybody has different personalities, and it's something that you constantly have to work on. The reason I'm telling this story is about a big lesson that I learned. And I would have, I was born in 1968, and during the late 70s, it got to the point where I just didn't understand. I wasn't a good student. I was in private schools. I was a C student, but I just hated school. I mean, it wasn't fun for me. And then, so we were always in family counseling sessions. And I look back on it now and I feel like it really helped. But at the time, I would have been on Adderall or Ritalin because I was labeled as hyperactive and attention deficit disorder and everything else. So later on, I was working with a coach and she said, well, you must be an indigo child. And I said, well, what's an indigo child? I knew nothing about any of that metaphysical stuff, except for the fact that we had been studying energies and emotions and vibrations and things like that. So we knew that we all have auras and we all are resonating at certain frequencies. So when I found out, I did some more research on it, I found there was a lot of indigos, and now there's crystal children and star children that are being born in, and they're all here to raise the consciousness of the planet and to adapt. However, it's very, very hard for them to adapt, and most of them are being put on psychiatric medications. But one of the things that I've learned over the years, which was the hardest for me, is mindfulness. I used to hear be mindful, all this, live in the now, be present. And it didn't really sink into me until a couple years ago when I was picking my kids up from school. Now, I homeschool my kids now, by the way, which is, I think that is incredible. The things that they're teaching kids in school these days is, I believe can be extremely damaging to them as growing as people and understanding their bodies and understanding finance and understanding some of the things that you need to understand in life. However, I picked them up one day and they were both super excited in the backseat of my car, and I was driving home and they were telling me about their day and everything like that. And that day I had a lot of issues come up at the office. My mind was going in a million different directions, like most people. I mean, most people's minds are cluttered. They go in a million different directions all the time. And we got home and my kids said, Dad, what do you think about that? And at that point, I realized that I didn't hear a word they said. Here they were trying to communicate with me, and I didn't hear a word that they said. And then I started paying attention to myself. My wife would say something and I wouldn't even know what she said. And I realized it hit me on top of the head like a ton of bricks. What am I doing? I'm not. So I started, researching more into mindfulness. And mindfulness is just the process of bringing your attention to the experience that's occurring in the present moment. Like bringing your attention. So if you're watching this, bring your attention to the experience. We're having an experience right now that's occurring in your present moment. And that means blocking out anything around you and focusing and being mindful of that current moment. It's basically decluttering your mind. Now, I don't think ADD and ADHD and all that stuff is a disorder. I don't at all. I mean, most of the most successful people I know are ADD and ADHD. And some of the most sharpest, intelligent children I know. It shouldn't be labeled as a disorder. It should be labeled as a strength. And I'm always looking at the root cause of things. What we should be doing is teaching how to control it, teaching how to utilize it more effectively, teaching how to be aware of the situations, and teaching people how to be mindful. So you have two choices. You either have mindfulness or you have chaos and destruction or cluttering. For example, eating. When people eat, we've also found that they're not mindful and in the present moment. They're not paying attention to the experience in the present moment. And I'll give you an example of how that would work. So I have an apple right here. if I'm going to, how most people would eat an apple is they would pick it up and they would just eat it, and they would be on their phone or they would be watching TV or something like that, and they would be distracted and their body would be in a sympathetic state. And we're going to talk about vibrations and energy and states as well later on. But if I'm going to eat in a mindful state, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold that apple. I'm going to feel the energy of the apple. I'm going to touch the apple, feel all the little divots in it. I'm paying attention to it. I'm being mindful of it. I might even close my eyes and picture the tree in Washington or Oregon or wherever the apple is grown, blowing in the wind, the rain hitting it, the flower that bloomed, the bee coming to fertilize or pollinate that flower, the small little tiny apple starting to grow, then the apple getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then somebody coming and picking the apple from the tree on a nice, bright, sunshiny day, and then the apple traveling all the way to me, and then me getting the apple and being grateful for that apple. And before I eat it, just taking a moment to put energy into it, because you can, with your thoughts, increase vibrations in foods, and you can, with your touch, increase vibrations. And then take a bite of the apple, and then as I'm chewing the apple, I'm paying attention to the juices that are coming out, the flavors, and I'm chewing it until it's a liquid, and then I swallow it. If you do that with your food, you're going to be raising the vibrational frequency of your food, and everything you eat will be a higher vibration, and it will have a lot more powerful healing effects on your body. So that's mindful eating, and that's it takes practice, but that's what we should be doing. And even in conversations, I mean, how many times have you had a conversation with your coworker, your boss, your friends, anything, and you don't remember what they said? How many times have you gone into a party or an event and you meet people and you don't remember their names? I mean, it's all about decluttering all of this stuff that's happening around us all the time, all this fear and negativity and stress and anxiety and depression and all this stuff that lowers us down, and creating a bubble, an environment within us of a high positive energy. So how does healing actually work? So if you break down how healing works, it's broken down into two categories, either high vibrations or low vibrations. So it's positive, negative. Everything in this world is yin and yang. You're going to have good doctors, bad doctors, good massage therapists, bad massage therapists, good auto mechanics, bad auto mechanics. That's the way that this earth is balanced. And that way we would not know what happiness is if we didn't have depression and fear and anger. So you always have to have the opposite of everything to understand and live with all of the daily challenges or successes that you face every single day. So if you break everything down to its simplest point, no matter what you're doing for a patient or no matter what you're doing for yourself, at the end of the day, did you do more things that increased your energy vibrations, or did you do more things that lower your energy vibrations? Because all we are is vibrational beings, and everything has a vibrational frequency or can negatively affect and bring your vibrational energy down. So it's kind of like the law of attraction. If your vibration is low, you're going to attract low vibrational things. You're going to be attracted to low vibrational events. You're going to be attracted to low vibrational emotional states, maybe even illness, different types of symptoms that are going to resonate within your body or be created within your body. And just the opposite. If you're a very positive person, if you're speaking positive things, if you're eating high vibrational foods, if you're thinking high vibrational positive thoughts, you're going to attract high vibrational things, high vibrational people around you. You're going to be attracted to health. You're going to be attracted to success, self-confidence. But we all have to go through this cycle of positive and negative, but you can make the difference of creating positive change and doing things every single day, even if it's 80-20 rule or if it's 90-10. So you do 80% of the time during your day, you're in positive thinking, meditation, mindfulness, eating high vibrational foods, and then 10%, maybe you're at a restaurant or something else or you're around some negativity. As a matter of fact, even Albert Einstein said everything in life is vibration. That's a deep thought right there. Everything in life is vibration. I mean, you could sit and ponder on that for a while. But just to give you some basic research on vibrations, Bruce Tainio, you've probably heard of him. In 1992, he was the head of the Department of Agriculture at Washington University. And he was the one that developed the calibrated frequency monitor that was used to measure the frequencies of the human body and of food. And I'll break just for a second here and say that this is a good time to talk about science versus nature. We've become a man-made, synthetic, science-based environment and society. Science-based and man-made stuff, most of it lowers your vibrational frequency. Natural stuff, God-made stuff, raises your vibrational frequency. So it's very important that, you hear, science says this, science says that. Science doesn't measure quantum energy fields. I'm sorry. There are a couple scientists that are doing that, like Bruce Tainio did and Dr. Glenn Rain is doing right now. And we are having people measure things and vibrations with Kirlian photography, but science is not doing that. Right? Only the metaphysical, or only the opposite of science, is nature, vibration, and energy. And that is what's missing from our current system today. So Bruce Tainio's device, he used that to measure the bioelectrical frequencies of plant nutrients, essential oils. And what he found was that a healthy body frequency was between 62 and 78 megahertz. He found that colds and flu developed between 57 and 60 megahertz. He found that disease starts at 58 megahertz. Candida overgrowth starts at 55 megahertz. Receptive to Epstein-Barr was at 52 megahertz, receptive to cancer at 42 megahertz, and death begins at 25 megahertz. So everything is measured in frequency and vibration, and that's what Royal Raymond Rife was talking about and measuring when he had his light microscope. And he was able to measure frequencies and then shoot back using a helium platinum electrode device called a Rife machine back at those organisms and blow those organisms up or kill them by resonating them with the same frequency. So another expert that's been doing or had been doing research on vibrations was David Hawkins. He was an MD, PhD scientist, internationally renowned healer. He was a psychiatrist, physician. He's the one that developed the map of consciousness. And he presents a diagram of the vibrational scale and the states of being in his book, which is called Power versus Force. And that diagram matches the vibrational frequency of each corresponding emotional or spiritual state. Another interesting thing that he said was that over 95% of the world's population is living at a contracted frequency below 200. And I believe that. I mean, we've talked to thousands upon thousands of individuals. Let's just face it, most people on this planet right now are suffering from at least one negative health condition. Either that or something wrong with their teeth, their gums, their hair, their skin. Something is not right in their system. And that's because of what we're going to get into when we talk about the root cause of all negative health conditions. But what he did is he had a map of consciousness levels, and he mapped all this out with the highest level, which was 700 to 1,000. And that was enlightenment. That would have been just pure enlightenment through meditation. That would have been something like Jesus, Buddha, or spiritual master, guru, something like that, or anybody for that matter. I mean, that achieves that high level of awareness of the true self and the totality of consciousness. That would create a resonance within you, or a high frequency of between 700 and 1,000. The next on the list, the next lowest on the list is peace. Most people would automatically assume love, but actually peace is a higher frequency. Peace is a frequency of around 600. Then joy is underneath that at a frequency of about 540, and then love at 500. After love, you have reason, willingness, neutrality, and then you have courage. It's kind of like a pH scale. It goes up and it goes down. So here's where it starts going down, because 200 would be the even point. When you start falling below 200 is when you start developing emotional distress, and you also start bringing your own body frequency down and your vibrations down. So 175, we have pride. So pride actually lowers your vibrations. And under pride, we have anger. Then we have desire, because of the attachments. When you desire things of this world, it creates a low vibration. Or if you live in a state of desire. Then you have fear. Fear is 100. Below that, you have grief. Below that, you have apathy. Below that, you have guilt. So guilt is one of the lowest vibrational frequencies you can feel in your body, and guilt is at 30. And then above all else, the lowest draining vibrational frequency in your body is shame. And so those are the things that we really want to look at, we really want to help people with, and we want to bring people out and give them the tools so they can not have to stay in any of those frequencies that long. Another study that you can see on the PowerPoint presentation here that I wanted to show is the heart math study. And this talks about emotions and how emotions affect your heart rhythm patterns. So you can see on the top that frustration, if you're in a state of frustration, it inhibits the brain function. It causes incoherence, which is chaos or scatter, as opposed to appreciation, which facilitates brain function and coherence. So you can see that the Heart Math Institute has mapped all these things out, and I'm hoping that we have more and more research, and we start doing more research into vibrations and frequencies. So one of the things that I've been doing for the last 20 years is studying the effects of vibrations and emotions. The next slide that I wanted to go over with everybody is this is a very important slide. It's the energy depletion to renewal grid. And this talks about how you expend energy, vibrational energy, and then how you renew vibrational energy. And this is all broken down by the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic is going to be your fight or flight. That's going to be when your heart rate goes up. And the parasympathetic nervous system is going to be when your heart rate goes low. Now, you can have, and the sympathetic can be broken down into two categories. It can be broken down into a negative and a positive. Again, everything's in a negative and a positive. The negative side of the sympathetic system is going to be anger, frustration, impatience, anxiety, grief, argument, anything that's going to bring your vibrations down. The positive side of the sympathetic is going to be excitement. It's going to be courage. It's going to be passion. Yes, you can be passionate about something and you can be in a sympathetic state, and that's good. It's going to be love. Your sympathetic state can activate in a state of love. Your heart starts going real fast. That's sympathetic, but that's good because your body produces DHEA. So all of the positive sympathetic states, love, happiness, mindfulness, courage, excitement, your body is secreting DHEA. All of the negative sympathetic, which are the negative emotions, your body is secreting cortisol. It's burning out your adrenal glands. And then you have the parasympathetic. The parasympathetic is going to be divided into two categories as well. You're going to have, this is where your heart rate goes down. So again, you're going to have the negative and the positive parasympathetic. The negative parasympathetic is going to be sadness, depression, loneliness, withdrawal, burnout, resentment. And that's going to also secrete cortisol. Then you're going to have the positive parasympathetic, and that's going to be contentment, fulfillment, ease, when you're at a state of peace, meditation, mindfulness, going with the flow, being present in the moment, not worrying, where your heart rate is calm. And that, again, is going to secrete DHEA. So anyway, it's good to know that, because that way you can pay attention to the states that your body is in on a daily basis or in an hourly basis. So now let's talk about some of the things that are going to lower our healing vibrations. So I talked earlier about all of us having a self-healing mechanism. When the research team I was involved with over 20 years ago, our job was to find out what the root cause of degenerative disease, really it was the root cause of cancer. And what we found was the root cause of all disease. And this is the secret the medical profession hopes you never find out, which most of you by this point in time, that if you're watching this, you already know this. Why is our self-healing mechanism suppressed? We know that we have the most powerful healing mechanism within us, right? So why do we have to look outside? Why can't we just look inside? Why is it suppressed? What is the root cause of all disease? What we found was that everybody has what we call a toxic threshold. And it could be different for everybody. But when we were studying all these cases, we found that everybody has a toxic threshold, and everybody is bringing in toxins on a daily basis. Now, these toxins come in from the air you breathe, the water you drink, the beverages that you're consuming, parasites that are in your body. And yes, parasite is any harmful organism that lives off of you, which can be a microbe, it can be yeast, it can be fungus, it can be mold, it can be mycoplasm, it can be biological stuff, it can be bacteria, it can be viruses, it can be worms. The definition of a parasite is any harmful organism that lives off of you, that causes harm. And then we found a slew of chemicals and heavy metals and pesticide residue and plastic residue and prescription drug residue and all this stuff. So what we found was the root cause of disease is an accumulation of chemicals and toxins that accumulate inside your system over a long period of time and start breaking your system down. And we found that the majority of these chemicals and toxins are coming in through your gut, which is why the gut is so important when we talk about vibrations. However, when we found that all of this stuff was coming in, the next question we asked was, well, doesn't the body have a way to get rid of all this stuff? And then we started looking into the body's elimination routes. Yes, the body has 4 elimination routes in men, 5 elimination routes in women. So how do you get rid of all these chemicals and toxins that are coming in that are lowering your vibrations? Number 1, you urinate them out. Number 2, you defecate them out. Number 3, you breathe them out. Number 4, you sweat them out. Women have a menstrual cycle, so they have that at one time a month where they eliminate chemicals and toxins. So why is everybody getting sick if their vibrations are so low? If we have a way to eliminate this? Well, here's the thing. Urination Most people's urination pathways are blocked because they're not drinking enough water. They're drinking alcohol, tea, coffee, all of these things that dehydrate you, and they're not drinking enough water. So they're not urinating enough. So that's blocked, maybe 50%, maybe 20%, maybe 50%. Defecation. People are not having bowel movements regularly anymore. They're having one bowel movement a week sometimes, believe it or not. So that's shut down. They're not exercising enough. So their respiration and their sweating pathways are shut down. And then with women, most women's menstrual cycles are not functioning at optimal levels right now. So that elimination pathway is shut down. So, anything that we found that people are suffering from always links back to, some people can take in 1 million toxins on a daily basis. Some people can only handle 100,000 on a daily basis before that starts breaking down and starts, messing with and lowering your vibrations. It all depends on the individual. It all depends on how effective their elimination routes are working too. Now, I'll also add that electromagnetic frequencies need to be looked at through 5G, through cell phones. All of these things, including emotions, emotional trauma, media, watching TV, hanging out with the wrong people, all of this stuff. So you have the physical chemicals and toxins, and then you have the emotional chemicals and toxins that are being produced in your system. All of those need to be looked at and eliminated so you can raise your vibrational frequencies and then understand what you need to do to clean your internal environment and your external environment. So when we look at the chemicals and the toxins coming in, it all boils down to what you're exposed to in your external environment, and that means your home, your office, all the chemicals there, the how you're sleeping, your bedroom, your kitchen, your bathroom, all that, and then internal environment. So I've been joking around with years for doctors, and basically I say, the true doctors out there are really environmental toxicologists, because if you understand that all the chemicals in the food and the beverages and all this and the emotions are what the true cause of disease is, then you understand the importance of teaching individuals, your patients, or teaching how to identify all of those things, and there is a solution for every one of them. I mean, you can not drink tap water and get the fluoride, chlorine, bromine, and all the other stuff and just switch to purified water. Not eat table salt, eat organic food instead of non-organic food. So, there's always solutions on how you can clean up your internal environment and your external environment. Just a negative thought lowers your vibrational frequency by 12 megahertz, and that can last for up to an hour. One of the things that, when we found out all of these congestion and all these toxins that were, congesting the body and bringing your body's self-healing mechanism down, that's what restricts your self-healing mechanism, is all this toxins and all this other stuff. How many times have people cleansed and detoxified their body? We clean our kitchen every single day, and can you imagine if you never clean your kitchen? We take showers for the outside of our body, but we never clean and detoxify the inside of our systems. And that is the main thing that's missing from being able to keep your self-healing mechanism strong. And listen, all these problems that people are having with mental illness and depression, anxiety, and all that, that's just the root cause of that is the toxicity from all the negative emotions and the low vibrations that you're feeling in your life. I go back to Tesla and I go back to Einstein because that's what they did. Like all their research, they came to the conclusion that vibrations and energy were everything. And even later in their life, they both became vegetarians because they knew that eating dead animal flesh created extremely low vibrations. Now, I'm not, I ate a bunch of meat in my life. I had stomach issues and I had to transition into a vegetarian lifestyle. I was raw vegan for a few years. I was vegan. Now I just try to look at food from an energy standpoint and I try to eat more live food every single day that's going to raise my vibrational frequency than I do dead food. However, I will show you that even cooked and steamed food still does have a vibration to it. So Tesla actually said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So, talking about eating, one of the things I noticed in my own life is I was getting really busy and I was just eating on the go, or eating while I have my phone handy, or not eating in a mindful state again, like I was talking about. It's very, very important to eat in a parasympathetic state, because your digestive system comes to a stop if you're in a sympathetic state, a fight or flight. And this is one of the biggest issues that I've seen studying gut health for over 20 years and studying detoxification and cleansing and how to eliminate all these chemicals and toxins from our internal and external environment. When you eat in a parasympathetic mindful state, you can almost feel the vibrations. You can almost feel the energy of the food. Try it out for yourself. When you eat in a sympathetic state, and that means eating while driving, eating and watching negative news on TV, eating while you're playing on your phone, eating if you just got in an argument, eating in any type of a sympathetic state, your digestion comes to a halt, and most likely that food is not going to digest. It's not going to be broken down properly. The proteins can turn putrefactic, the carbohydrates can ferment, and the fats can turn rancid. And you've just created more toxicity and low vibrational energy in your body. So one of my biggest tips is always eat in a peaceful, mindful state. And the fastest way to take your body from a sympathetic to a parasympathetic is 9 deep breaths. Or practice the Wim Hof method of breathing. It's amazing, but you can use it just 9 times, breathing deep into your stomach, and that puts you in a parasympathetic state. I was talking a little bit about Einstein and Tesla, of how they, stopped eating meat. I did research into that a few years ago and found that, listen, I'm not telling people not to eat meat. You listen to your own body, do your own thing. I'm just telling you that dead meat lowers your vibrational frequencies. If you do eat it, you should eat it very sparingly. I started studying the pathways of animals when I was looking into vibrations and energies. And there's videos and documentaries out there on that you can watch, pull them up and watch them. However, one of the things that I didn't know was the amount of trauma animals went through at their life, and even in the slaughterhouses. Sometimes the animals were in there for a week, and they had to listen to their mom or their brother or their sister scream and scream. And you might not think that has an effect on the meat, but it is a vibration. It's a thought, and that's been proven. And animals have anger, and they have hate, and they have pain, and they have aggression, and they have resentment. And when they sit there in those slaughterhouses, in those low, shameful, energetic, low vibrational states, guess where those vibrations go? It goes into the blood, it goes into the tissue, and it creates, and it holds those. And so then they get slaughtered, and all those low vibrations are in the meat, and then it goes to the supermarket, and then you eat it. What do you think's going to happen when you eat that meat? You're going to get the frequencies of pain and suffering and resentment and aggression and hurt. It's going to translate into your system. And same with, I was talking to somebody that was telling me that they noticed they were very highly energetic, and they could tell when they went to a restaurant and the chefs or whoever prepared their food was in a negative state of anger, or just had gotten in They were giving me an example one time of when they went into a restaurant and they ate and they just felt this negativity in the food, and they called the chef and asked the chef if the chef was going through anything. As it turns out, the chef that day was given divorce papers and was going through a really tough time in his marriage. And do you think that that's not going to go into your food? That's why cooking is one of the most healing things you can do too. Cooking heals. You can put lots of good positive vibrations into your food. So, pay attention to those, pay attention to those things. I mean, pay attention to who's preparing your food for you. You don't want somebody preparing your food that's angry or, because they're going to be touching it and putting that energy into your food. As a matter of fact, the studies that have been done on high vibrational foods, the highest frequencies at the top of the pyramid are foods that have chemical reactions from sunlight. And that would be like wheatgrass, phytoplankton, chlorophyll, and believe it or not, essential oils, because essential oils are produced by the sun within the plant, the chemical reactions. That's why rose is the highest frequency at 320 hertz. So essential oils are great to raise your body's frequencies. The next level down on the pyramid are going to be your superfoods. That's going to be your raw chocolate, your goji berries, your spirulina, your seaweeds, if it's not contaminated. Almonds, believe it or not, limes, lemons, because they're the negative ionic fruits. Lemons and limes are amazing. Chlorella is going to be a superfood. So the next level down is going to be your superfoods. And then the next level down from an energy standpoint are going to be foods from the trees. And that's going to be bananas, not strawberries because that's from the ground, but avocados, coconut, blueberries, apples, anything that grows from a tree, nuts or fruits. And then you're going to have underneath that your foods from the earth. And that's going to be anything that grows in the soil, making sure that it's organic. Those are all the positive frequencies. Then you start getting into the 0 megahertz foods. I'm going to read you off some of the 0 megahertz foods on this frequency pyramid. And that would be like eggs, cheese, milk, and not raw milk, goat's milk, but this would be regular pastured milk, sauces with dairy, dressings, cake, cookies, scones, sugar, all the bad things. And then you have the megahertz foods that really decrease and take energy out of your body. And that's going to be your poultry, your lamb, your fish, your meat, your pizzas, your burgers, your gluten, your hot dogs and stuff like that. So those are going to be your really draining frequencies from food. I just want to quick show you on this slide here where you can see the difference between a cooked tomato and a raw tomato, a cooked broccoli versus raw broccoli, where you still have vibrational energy coming out, but it might not be as strong. And then so people say, well, what else can I do to raise my vibrations? Well, education first and becoming mindful and conscious of yourself is the number one thing. And then again, like I said, evaluating your internal environment versus your external environment, being around people. Like it's so important to be around people that lift you up and that raise your vibrational frequencies. For me, my favorite thing to raise my vibrational frequencies is meditation. It takes me out of this world, puts me in the spiritual world. And, 1 good hour of meditation can be the equivalent of 4 hours of sleep. Meditation, look at the studies on what meditation does. Anti-aging, helps reverse cellular contamination, helps you detoxify, helps with stress, anxiety, depression. I mean, all these things. It actually balances both hemispheres of the brain. That's what I call like whole brain synchronization. And positive thoughts, just a positive thought raises your vibrational frequency by 10 megahertz. So this is kind of what we did with all of our individuals that came to see us. We had a cancer and degenerative disease clinic. Unfortunately, it was shut down. It was rated by the FDA and shut down because we had really good success. We were using unapproved medical devices, Rife machines, stuff like that. You know, it's very sad that we have a medical system, an allopathic system that treats the symptoms and not the root cause of a disease. One of the things that I found is my favorite, and this is what I think every single person and every single practitioner should do regardless. Everyone should start with detoxification and cleansing, because if you're suffering from anything, your body is toxic. And tracing it back, what we found as all disease starts in the gut, in the digestive tract, and all health begins in the intestinal tract. Your digestive tract, which is 30 feet long, is just your skin turned inside out. It's the only thing inside your body that's exposed to the outside, right? Because we eat from the outside and it goes through our digestive tract. I would say the number one thing that I've found in the last 20 years is damage to the intestinal lining, leaky gut syndrome. I can honestly say that probably maybe 0.000001% of the population has a healthy gut. And the reason why is, look around. I mean, we're exposed to chemicals and toxins in the air, the food, the water, and everything else, and then the negative frequencies, and living in the sympathetic state. So what we did, the reason why we were so successful, and the reason why we're still successful, and what many other practitioners are doing all over the world, and what I recommend everybody do at least once a year, is to go through a full body cleanse. Like we wouldn't even start or even get to what the individuals were coming in to see us for before we went through a full cleanse with that individual. And we started with cleansing the gut and healing the gut. And I use Nikola Tesla's original formula, which is oxypowder. It's the only original oxygen-based intestinal cleanser, which turns all that garbage and all that toxic, hard, compacted fecal matter into a liquid or a gas, and then using probiotics for that. So step 1, cleansing and healing the gut. Step 2, cleansing and healing the liver. That's the next thing we would do. Step 3, cleansing all the harmful organisms out of the body. Doing a harmful organism or a parasite cleanse. Now that takes 6 weeks to do. You can supplement them on different, individuals on different products during that time. And the last step was chemical and toxic metal cleansing. So we cleanse and heal the gut, cleanse and heal the liver, get rid of all the harmful organisms, which are secreting isopropyl alcohol. When they go to the bathroom in your system, they secrete isopropyl alcohol, phenol, formaldehyde, and toxic compounds that keep your body acidic. So cleansing all of those out, and then cleansing all the chemicals and heavy metals out. And the reason why we wait for those last is so the liver, it won't get overrun, the kidneys, and you'll be able to cleanse those out when your body is clean. I recommend everybody go through that cleansing program at least once a year. And what you'll find is a lot of your symptoms will just disappear and your body's self-healing mechanism will activate. All we're doing is we know the root cause, which is toxicity. Now we're cleaning all the toxicity out. And now we can start on a good supplement program, or we can start really looking at what conditions you may have, or maybe run you through that whole cleansing process once again. Now, that's internal. Outside, you need to clean your external environment. You need to make sure you're not breathing VOCs. You need to make sure you're not sleeping on a memory foam mattress. You need to be using organic cleaning products in your home. You need to clean and detoxify the outside of your life as well. And get that external support, the lymphatic drainage, massage therapy, EFT, emotional freedom technique, acupuncture. Get out in the free things like the sun, the nature, walk around in nature, do grounding, make sure you're sleeping, listen to beautiful calming music. I'm really big into fasting because fasting is one of the fastest ways to regenerate your immune system and regenerate your body. Water-only fasting, juice fasting, the grape fast. I mean, giving your digestive system a time just to calm down and relax. Also, I mean, if you're going to be taking supplements, make sure that you take high vibrational supplements. That's organic, non-GMO, plant-based if possible, anything that's going to raise your vibrational frequency. You'll find that, the fastest way to raise your vibrational frequency is cleansing the body, and cleansing your you're cleansing your external environment, and then just eating raw, high vibrational foods, nuts, seeds, have really, really high vibrations. Another way is just to stop complaining. Our vibration is what creates our reality, and winning the mornings and the evenings is another one of the things that I think is the most important things that you can possibly do. You get so much energy in the morning if you wake up and you start meditating between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. But in order to win the morning, you have to win the evenings. And that means you have to go to bed early, no electronics in the bedroom, make sure it's dark, make sure you get a good night's rest. And that way you can win the mornings and start your day in a positive way. Find ways to laugh every day. Keep a smile on your face. Just smiling and laughing is going to increase your vibrational frequencies. And when you drink water, put some good energy into the water. Masaru Emoto. You can think positive thoughts into the water, and it creates a high vibration in the water. I talked a little bit about water-only fasting. And the reason why maybe doing intermittent fasting, water-only fasting, is because when your body no longer has to perform what takes the most energy, which is digestion, then your body has more energy to heal. And digestion takes 99% of the energy that your body produces every single day. And so by skipping a meal, you're just adding that much more energy to your system. And even Arnold Ehret said the humans are dying from the energy it takes to digest 10 times as much food as the system actually needs. I'm going to show you a quick slide here on type 2 diabetes. This guy was days before he was getting his foot amputated. And within just doing a water-only fast, you can see what happened within 9 days of water-only fasting. His foot was almost completely healed. Now, the highest vibrations possible come from the pineal gland. That's your third eye. I love the pineal gland because that's actually bathed in highly charged cerebrospinal fluid and has more blood flow per cubic volume than any other organ. It is the gland with the highest concentration of energy in the body. And I wanted to mention that because unfortunately our pineal glands are calcified with the toxic bromide and fluoride. And the solution to that is iodine. Iodine is one of the most effective, restricted by the medical community supplements out there. I highly recommend everybody take a good nascent iodine supplement. It is, in our research, we found practically everybody is deficient. And the beautiful thing is we're all looking to raise our consciousness, and we need to decalcify our pineal gland. And iodine is the only thing that will do that. It will bond to that fluoride and those bromide particles and start decalcifying. And you will have a better intuition after that, and you will have much better spiritual connection in your meditation. So if you want to experience high vibrations, you have to create high vibrations, and every journey starts with a first step. What habits you can change today will influence you and your vibrations tomorrow. I want to end it there, and I want to thank everybody for listening today. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me, Dr. Edward Group. globalhealing.com is our website. Also, I want to thank Julie for the Health Freedom Expo, and thank you all for watching. I hope you have really high positive vibrations for the rest of your life, and you have the tools to live a happy and healthy life. Thank you.